Just give them a surprise.
धक्के मारकर इन दोनों को घर से निकाल दो।
मुझे मालूम था ये लोग तुम्हारे साथ ऐसा ही करेंगे।
What?
The film Dal is about a lot of things, such as how music is its own love language, how the globalization of India's economy in the 1990s increased Western influences on arts and culture, and how wealth can rob us of humility and decency. But it's also about family and how parents can significantly influence how young Indians make decisions about love and relationships. I think Mansi is one of the most interesting characters in the film, yet the least understood, because she doesn't express her true feelings often or easily. Why does she get engaged to Vikrant when she's so clearly in love with Manav? Why doesn't she openly talk about that day? You know the one.
ये रहा तुम्हारा प्यार और ये रहा तुम्हारा तोहफा.
Whoa, hang on, we'll get there. There are clues in the first half of Dal that help explain Mansi's actions in the second half. You might remember from this video that well-rounded protagonists typically have 4 components: a want, a need, a lie, and a truth. So how do they apply to Mansi? I think her need is the most straightforward because it never changes.
मुझ पर बहुत जिम्मेदारियां हैं मेरे बाबा की.
She needs to protect her father and his emotional well-being.
उनकी भीतर की दुख दर्द को सिर्फ मैं समझती हूँ.
Mansi doesn't have a mother, so I can only assume she passed away. Mansi has probably been caring for her father for years, silently assuming new responsibilities before he can ask. Today, most unpaid caregivers of aging Indian parents are female, mainly daughters and daughters-in-law. In fact, women around the world are significantly more likely than men to be unpaid caregivers of aging adults, and these women tend to be wives and adult daughters. Mansi also has 2 younger cousins who look up to her, and in South Asian culture, your cousins are like your siblings. So while Mansi is technically an only child, she assumes the role of the eldest daughter and eldest sister. In this way, Mansi likely feels an added pressure to preserve her family's structure and function and set a good example for her sisters.
हमारे घर की लड़कियां इस प्यार के दायरे में नहीं पड़ती.
The phrase eldest daughter syndrome isn't a diagnosable condition, but it has gained immense popularity online.
No, I can help. I'm not busy. I'm just, in therapy. This is the only hour out of the entire week that I told you guys I wasn't going to be able to help with anything. Call you right after. Yep, I'll take care of it. Love you, bye.
According to evolutionary anthropologists, eldest children typically help their overworked parents raise their younger siblings by providing food and protection, which makes their siblings more likely to survive. This might explain why eldest daughters today feel an increased responsibility to be, quote, good.
It was missing out on friendships because you can't go out. Like, you're an immigrant child as well. Yeah. That's another layer that your parents are like, going out for what? Like, you have stay at home, you're looking after your siblings.
Anything that I did that was out of line, I felt this big thing that like I was dishonoring my family. I was hurting my siblings' reputation.
I'm a hyper-independent person and hyper-independent emotionally because, I've just learnt not to want to burden the close people in my life with my emotions, and I think that really stems from carrying the emotions of those around me.
Of course, every household is different, and this dynamic might not apply to yours. Manav is a catalyst by which Mansi is forced to confront the desires she suppresses.
आपका कोई दोस्त नहीं?
जी नहीं, मेरे रिश्तेदार ही मेरे दोस्त हैं.
The lyrics in the song Dal Se Tal Mila suggest that Mansi is restless for change, a break from her insular life.
There must be more than this provincial life.
And perhaps desires love and friendship from someone new, outside her family. But to Mansi, having that desire feels wrong and disrespectful.
ऐसा नहीं होगा और ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा.
Mansi projects that she doesn't want anything as a defense mechanism to keep her from admitting to herself that her life, while peaceful, doesn't satisfy her fully.
मेरे रिश्तेदार ही मेरे दोस्त हैं.
She's highly responsible and disciplined, likely because of her role as the eldest daughter and sister.
Now for your present, Charlie.
Oh, I don't want anything. Right now, I have enough.
She's crazy.
Giving in to desires like romantic love would be unthinkable for several reasons. How could Mansi express her longing for love and friendship when her father will likely always be single and therefore lonelier than her? What if her family interprets her romantic relationship as a sign of her negligence or willingness to abandon, or worse, embarrass them?
बहुत प्यार करती हो ना अपने बाबा से?
Or signal to them that their love isn't enough for her. The fact that Mansi likes Manav and can't control it makes her feel ashamed.
अब मैं तुमसे कभी नहीं मिलूंगी, कभी नहीं।
Mansi reaches a turning point when she and her father go to Manav's house in Mumbai a while later. Unlike Manav, his aunts and uncles don't respect Mansi's family one bit, and they take this opportunity to humiliate them, showing their true colors. As they repeatedly insult Dada Babu, Mansi is speechless with shock until Manav joins in.
उठा हाथ, उठा हाथ मानव।
Manav's participation in her father's insults flips a switch in her mind that reminds her of her need to protect her father. Manav is like an extension of her, the guy she wanted to be with, and now he's derailing something she's worked her entire life to preserve. Oh, just a reminder, Manav had no idea what was going on. He just walked in and people were throwing hands. Mansi probably thinks the fight was all her fault. The whole reason she and Dada Babu came to that house was so they could discuss her marriage to Manav, and as a result, her father was humiliated, which would make her feel super guilty. It follows that Mansi thinks, I can't fall in love, look what happens when I do. And now we have her lie. Falling and being in love is selfish. It conflicts with my duties as a good daughter. Quick sidebar, this shot is so brilliant and I have to tell you why. The necklace is meant to represent Manav's love for Mansi and their relationship. When she rips it from her throat and throws the beads around the room, we're able to see how big this room is. And we get another shot over here and here. This room represents Manav's wealth. By throwing the beads around the room, Mansi makes a statement. Not only is our relationship over, but your wealth and arrogance are why you can't put us back together. If Manav wanted to reassemble the necklace at that point, finding all the beads in this huge, lavish room would take a lot of effort. He does eventually, but I'm sure it took him a while. When Manav tries to apologize for his behavior that day, he acknowledges Mansi's filial love and how strong it is.
सारी बातें जान लेने के बाद मेरे दिल में तुम्हारी इज्जत और बढ़ गई है।
But Mansi's focus is unwavering.
माफी मांगनी चाहिए तुम्हारे पिता को मेरे बाबा से।
क्यों? चाटा मारा इसलिए? नहीं, गलत बात है। बिल्कुल गलत।
Emphasizing Manav's loyalty to his father. These two have a lot in common. Did you know they both studied music in college? They tell us this.
डांस मतलब नृत्य में तो इन्होंने बीए किया है, संगीत में भी जी।
अपने कॉलेज में maximum awards पाए, not only in Indian music but Indian literature.
I would have loved to see them talk about music theory and play instruments together as the sun went down behind them. It would have been so cute. Oh well. But anyway, Mansi isn't willing to see Manav's side at this point because she doesn't want to be persuaded that her father did anything wrong. She believes it's her job to stand by her father no matter what. As she gets increasingly involved in Vikrant's company, she builds a mental barrier around her and flares up when Vikrant mentions Manav.
बस कीजिए आप। मुझे इस वक्त आपको याद दिलाना बहुत जरूरी है कि आपकी कंपनी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अनुसार आपकी कंपनी के किसी भी आर्टिस्ट को इश्क, दोस्ती और शादी करने का हक ही नहीं है।
Let's hear that again.
इश्क, दोस्ती और शादी करने का हक ही नहीं है।
She really believes that. It's her lie once again. I have no right to love.
और इस तरह की फिजूल बातें करके आप मेरे काम में और मेरे करियर में रुकावट डाल रहे हैं।
When she says "gam," she doesn't just mean her work at the company, but her life's work to support, maintain, and protect her family without distraction.
What are your weaknesses?
I don't have any, ass.
She doesn't want to be reminded of Manav or be tempted to forgive him when she's decided she won't give in to love again. But even as her resistance to Manav visibly crumbles, she still won't admit she loves him. How can she? Admitting she still loves someone who contributed to her father's humiliation would be a betrayal. This has to do with her filial piety, which is an unspoken code found in Asian cultures when a child is highly attentive to their parents' physical and emotional needs, even to the point where it becomes unhealthy.
उस पापी मिथा बरसात को कभी माफ नहीं करोगी, उसके खानदान को कभी माफ नहीं करोगी बेटी।
मैं वादा करती हूँ बाबूजी, ऐसे विश्वासघातियों को मैं कभी माफ नहीं करूंगी, कभी नहीं करूंगी।
Mansi probably can't talk about that day because it was so traumatizing and made her feel like a failure. Later, Mansi agrees to get engaged to Vikrant after her father says it would bring him peace and make him happy.
मैंने एक बार तुझे अपनी तकदीर का फैसला करने का हक दिया ना? तो आज तुझे मेरी बात माननी होगी।
even though she knows it wouldn't make her happy.
क्या आप मुझसे सच में प्यार कर सकेंगे?
Mansi reaches a final turning point when she sees her father being friendly with Manav's father a few minutes before her wedding. And of course she's like, what the hell, Dad? And he's like, friends forgive each other. And she's like, forgiveness? When was this an option? But at that point, Mansi feels trapped in her decision. And you know her at this point. She's not going to choose her own happiness if it means jeopardizing someone else's. But when Vikrant finds out about Mansi's feelings from her sisters, he tells her it would make him happy to see her be with someone she truly loves.
Please. तेरी खातिर.
This is the only way to get through to this girl, I tell you. Right before Mansi unites with Manav, both their fathers are present, which I think symbolizes the truth that romantic and filial love can peacefully coexist. Dal also demonstrates the truth that our parents are just people. They're probably going to be wrong some of the time.
These are my people, Rhonda and Tim. They do what they can.
Mansi wasn't a bad daughter for desiring or falling in love. That's super normal. By suppressing and hiding her feelings from her family, Mansi was causing greater harm, sowing the seeds of resentment that would likely emerge later.
I take all the negative emotions and just bottle them and bury them, and they never come out.
I'm not sure.
I've basically never been better.
Just stop it! बस कीजिए आप.
She's crazy.
In contrast, Manav critically engages with what his family says and does, and eventually changes their minds. To be fair, it might be easier for Manav versus Mansi to openly disagree with his father because Manav is an only child. Manav's father probably doesn't push back too hard on Manav because he wouldn't want his only child to distance themselves. Manav also doesn't face the same internal pressure as Mansi to set a quote, good example because it doesn't really apply. Manav has no younger siblings or cousins his age, but Manav's practice of thinking independently is really useful to us. Witnessing and honoring our own thoughts, emotions, and experiences is good for our parents too. It helps them see us as individuals and capable adults. I hope you give these ideas a try. Use your own judgment and be safe out there. Bye.